Hey everyone, we are back with another Penny Dreadful review, and tonight we're reviewing Season 2, Episode 6, titled Glorious Horrors. Now, if you're not fully caught up on Penny Dreadful, you're going to want to skip this video, because everything we talk about, we're going to spoil it.
Yep. So, let's kick it off with Sir Malcolm. At the end of last episode, he was pricked in the back of the neck by Mrs. Poole. And you knew that was going to come into play, and it's almost instantaneous. Mm-hmm. He is no longer Sir Malcolm.
And he learns of his wife's suicide, and he's completely unfazed by it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised that nobody in the household really called him out on it.
Yeah, I am really surprised. Like, it takes a while for, they're being pursued by a coven of witches, and it kind of takes until the ball for Vanessa even to figure out that something's wrong. Yeah. Unless this is all part of some spell that the witches have on the entire group so that they don't notice things like this. Yeah. But it's, to me, I'm like, it seems pretty obvious something's going on with him.
Yeah. And then even at the ball, when Mrs. Poole arrives, Vanessa, she feels something, like she looks like she gets nauseous or something, and then Mrs. Poole walks up, but she doesn't really connect the dots that Mrs. Poole is the source of evil that is corrupting everything around her. So just the fact that she's unaware of that, and she's unaware of the other three witches who were at the ball until they started causing the hallucinations of the raining blood and everything, and then she passed out. The fact that it got that far along, there has to be some kind of spell going on with the group.
Yeah, there has to be.
Mask.
To make them not connect those dots.
Yeah. One of the first scenes in the episode was super duper creepy, and I absolutely loved it. Mrs. Poole, she's working on the fetish of Sir Malcolm. And she holds the little, it's clearly a baby heart, it's very, very small. And she's holding it, and she does an incantation, and then it starts beating.
Yeah, and it's super creepy.
Oh my god, it was so creepy and awesome.
And I think, like, that happens right after she pricks him. And I think it's, like, the combination of the two that has a complete change on him. I know she's doing stuff with the fetish that is making, like, I think the beard shaving, that was her in the fetish.
And I think the heart starting is the spell taking effect. Okay, rewinding a little bit. Sir Malcolm arrives back at the house after spending a night with Mrs. Poole, and right off, Simbine, the butler, knows something's off about it.
Yeah, he gets it, like, right away. Like, as soon as Sir Malcolm excuses himself from the room, he basically says, that's not Sir Malcolm.
Yeah.
Like, that's not him. He seems to be the only one who's seeing it at that point. I think the others are confused and they're a little unsettled, but they're not seeing that it's not him. I wonder if their magic doesn't work on him. Yeah,
it's really interesting because everybody else is just kind of, oh, well, that was kind of weird and rude. And Simbine's like, no, that's not
him.
So Simbine is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I really like him because he's just like a rock. He is just solid, and he is there, and he's mysterious. We don't really know a whole lot about him.
I want to learn more about him, but then if we do, will that kind of detract from... I don't know. I want to know more, but I don't want it, if you take away the mystery, maybe it subtracts some of the draw of the character. So it's a catch-22 there, but if I had my druthers, I'd rather know a little more about him, I think.
Yeah.
And not long after Sir Malcolm gets home, the Pinkerton shows up. The guy who's missing half his face. He has the leather, he's full-on freaking leather face here. And he screwed up.
Yeah.
He threatened Vanessa.
Yeah. And like, I definitely think there's something going on with Vanessa and Ethan. Whether it's romantic or whether it's more of a brother-sister or... even a cousinly type affection, there's something there, and he threatens Vanessa. And it's like, you can threaten Ethan all you want, but you threaten somebody he cares about, you're going down. That guy's dying.
Yeah.
He just wrote his death sentence.
This was episode 6. There's 4 episodes left in the season, and I'm thinking he probably dies by episode 8.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm hoping Ethan goes full wolf on him. And,
oh, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He'd have to learn how to control it, though, because right now he doesn't remember.
I think that's coming, though.
Yeah, I think so,
I think
too.
he's going to learn how to control it. If anything else, it'll be like the Hulk in the Avengers, where he almost can't control it, but you just point him at whatever you want him to smash.
Yeah.
It's going to be thinking, well, okay, I can kind of control it, so just point me at whoever you want me to eat. Okay, my favorite scene in the entire episode actually involved an interaction with Ferdinand and Mrs. Poole, where they're talking about Vanessa and meeting and going to this ball, and Ferdinand says to her, "Are you sure that's a good idea? Vanessa's going to be there. Do you really want to, confront her at this point?" And she says, "Well, sometimes the spider, or she says, eventually the spider has to touch the fly." And Ferdinand says, "Well, what if the fly eats the spider?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" He's starting to push back against Mrs. Poole, which I think is going to be very, very important because he has intel on them that I think he is eventually going to share with the heroes.
Yeah. What I'm getting from this is that he's had enough of her and her whole darkness, and he wants out. Mm-hmm. And I think he's kind of slowly but surely stepping back from them. And I think eventually he's going to say, "I don't care what they do. I can't be this person." And I think he's going to be completely devoted to Vanessa and her group.
Mm-hmm. So, also in this episode, Dorian Gray decides to throw a ball as a coming out party for Angelique. And he invites Vanessa, and when he's talking to Vanessa, Dr. Frankenstein is there, so Frankenstein gets kind of a de facto invite because it would be rude not to. And of course, he invites Lily.
Yes, he decides to take Lily as his
huge mistake, Doc.
Yeah, and we kind of knew this because we were like, oh shoot, Vanessa's gonna ask either Ethan or John Clare, and she does ask Ethan, and he says no, but it's because it's a full moon on Friday night, so he can't. And she ends up going alone, which kind of saves Frankenstein from the John Clare situation.
I think even if she did ask John Clare, though, he would say no just because he's socially awkward.
Yeah, I think so too. But it was a possibility because they are friends now. But he does not know that Dorian and Brona had a one-night thing. So he's unaware that she is going to possibly be recognized. Yeah.
And she gets into the room and she's like, "I feel like I've been in this room before."
Yeah, like she's starting to remember stuff. And I'm waiting for it to happen where everything just floods back and she remembers everything. Yeah. And I think Frankenstein's worried about it unnecessarily. I don't necessarily think she's going to be upset with what he did to her.
Right. The one thing I'm wondering about Lily is she died from tuberculosis, and Frankenstein brought her back. But is she going to develop tuberculosis again?
Or does she still have it? Like, did she just give it to him? Like, I don't know. Like, is she like a carrier of it? Even though she's technically dead.
So, But she still breathes. She still has a heartbeat and everything. So I don't know is she immortal and completely cured, or is she going to develop it again, or is she just not presenting any symptoms or anything? I hope they expand on that because it's something I'm really curious about. And so, of course, at the ball, Dorian recognizes Lily / Brona. Now, I'm not sure he knows entirely who she is. I think he's just like, I've seen this person before. I'm not sure where. I've probably had sex with her because that's how I do.
I think he totally recognizes her, and their whole conversation is him prompting her to see what she remembers, because I think he recognizes her, but also recognizes that she is not that person. Like, this is Brona. I've had her here. We had intercourse, but it's also totally not Brona.
And also the fact that Dorian basically took it totally in stride.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. Like, oh, here's this woman I know
who died,
but she's a different person now. This could be fun. I think that's what Dorian. He's like, all right, let's see what happens. I think he's almost excited about it.
Yeah.
Like let's see. Let's poke this thing and see what happens. And of course, I mean, Dr. Frankenstein gets insanely jealous.
Very jealous.
His evening with Lily deteriorates very fast.
Yeah.
So I think their relationship is going to fracture really, really quickly.
Yeah, I don't think it'll continue. I think his insane jealousy is going to tear them apart, and it's
pretty
not really
quickly,
gonna
I
matter.
think, too. I don't think it's going to last more than 1 or 2 more episodes.
Also, speaking of jealousy, Angelique was super jealous when Dorian was dancing with Lily. And it's kind of, like, Angelique's kind of just met Dorian, and he's kind of been completely 100% focused on her, so she hasn't really gotten to see his character. And he is an obnoxious flirt. And it doesn't matter if he's with somebody, he is still going to be flirting with anything that's pretty in his sight. And she is not used to that yet.
This is the first time she's kind of seen that. And her reaction to it was very telling. Her body language changed, her mannerisms changed, the way she was talking to the people around her changed. So I think their relationship might be on the decline as well. I also think Angelique is probably going to meet a tragic end before the end of the season.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. See, I think that Dorian is actually very, very devout to her. Like, I think he is in love with her. And I think that she doesn't need to be jealous. But, I mean, when your man's flirting with other girls, you're gonna be jealous. You'd be like, no, back off, that you're mine.
Especially since he is the first man who has been completely accepting of who she is.
Yeah.
And then to have that person suddenly show all this attention to this other woman, I can totally understand being jealous in that scenario.
Yeah. But Angelique is also not a shy person, so I bet next episode we see that conversation.
Yeah.
I bet she confronts him with the jealousy and with his flirting and stuff with Lily.
And how he reacts to that is going to be very interesting to see.
Yes.
And we end the episode with Ethan asking Sembene to come down into the basement with him and chain him up and just watch.
Yes. And this is like the first time, really, that I can remember seeing Sembene afraid.
Yeah.
Like, he was legit terrified. And, I mean, I've seen him worried and angry, but I don't think I've seen him that scared before.
But even scared, you know, he jumped up, he kicked the chair back, but the fists went up.
Yeah, but he was, like, posed. He was ready to fight.
He was ready to throw down, but he was legitimately terrified.
Yeah.
But I do think Ethan and Sembene, after this, are going to become very, very close friends. And I think, I don't know, like a dynamic duo kind of a thing. I really want to see them, you know, team up more. Because the two actors have a really good screen chemistry.
Yeah. And I would like to see Ethan kind of pursue his werewolfness. He's kind of ignored it up until now. I guess, like, it almost seems to me like he hoped if he just didn't acknowledge it, it would go away. He wasn't doing any precautions for it. He just allowed it to happen. And now he's finally starting to recognize something happens on a full moon. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have this guy here sit and just watch me. And then I imagine they're going to have a conversation and be like, okay, so what happened? Because I don't remember anything. And I would love to see them team up to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
We would really like to know what you guys thought of the episode. If there's anything we missed, let us know in the comments. But, you know, just what are your thoughts of the episode? What do you think is going to happen in the future, specifically with Vanessa? Because she passed out at the end of the episode, and we don't really know what her status is.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And on Fridays, we do Topic of the Week video, and we need topics. So if you have a topic for us, leave that in the comments down below, and we will look through them and choose the one we think we can make the best video for, and that's the one we will post on Friday.
Okay, thank you guys very much for watching. We will see you next time.